Hello, everybody. It's Glass Half Dead here, and today, with me in my interview series for SoCal Open, I have someone that has never been to SoCal, which might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but bear with me. With me, I have Luke. Hello. Do you want to say hello?
Hey, how you going?
Uh, Luke is from Australia. If you caught the accent there, and he recently played in the Australian national kill team event that occurred.
Yeah. Australian National Championships. That's what it was called.
There you go.
I
That's close
figure it
enough.
was trying to pull all the best players together. That was my idea, or what it might have been. It
And it was
was run by
about
Warhammer though, so
good, and that was 25 players.
yep,
You say roughly ish,
yeah,
and you came in second, and
I did.
you were playing Tau. Now, people
Certainly was.
probably already know that you were playing Tau because no doubt I put some bizarre thumbnail saying how to
Yeah,
dominate with Tau because
we're going
that's what
to
I
put
do.
your mount merch on there with a little tower, dude.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
there he
just
is.
came
Yeah,
in today. Yeah, yeah. As I'm doing in the rest of this series, whenever I'm trying to get different people that have played different factions and know those factions pretty well inside and out, to just kind of give, to begin with, a rundown, a beginner's guide for somebody that's new to the faction. Um, Before we go into something a little bit more in depth, now you've said earlier that although you took Tau to second place, you're not a mono faction guy. You like to take different factions. That's cool. So we will dive into the other factions. But before we get there, let's talk about Tau. Also, before we get to that, I suppose, even, do you want to say a little bit about how long you've been in Warhammer Kill Team, etc.? Introduce yourself.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like from the '80s, I've always played Warhammer 40,000. Well, it wasn't even 40,000, and it was Rogue Trader. Was the first one I got in the '80s, but I had a real big hiatus from it for like a few decades actually, because it was really like just the commercial side of it I didn't get into, and the buckets of dice kind of thing. So I went into other games. I've been playing other games for ages, but when Kill Team was announced, I didn't see it straight away, and then I was at some mate's place and they play 40k, and then they told me about it. I'm like, what is this? And I looked into it, and it's like, you've got the smaller squads. It's 40k, but you can, it's sort of skirmished. I'm like, that's exactly what I've been waiting for. So I started, I sort of scrounged their teams, and this is how my Tau team came around. As one of the blokes plays competitive 40k with Tau, and he had a whole bunch of just extra stuff laying around. So I'm like, well, can I just buy some of your leftover crap, that I can form a kill team with? And that's pretty much where that started. And then I obviously started learning about it. But yeah, it's been a good year now that I've been into Kill Team, I'd say. And then I started looking at content like yourself and Beer in it and some of those other things, and trying to get some ideas on tactics for Tower before I really knew what I was doing. But now I suppose you could call me experienced. I've been in competitions, and I've probably played about 50 to 60 games with Tower now, including competition games. And yeah, I feel pretty confident, I guess.
So Tau were your first entry into Kill Team and your first tournament play?
It was my first tournament. Upon saying, it might sound weird to some of the guys in, say, America or somewhere, but there's not a lot going on over here in terms of that. It's actually Games Workshop that are Warhammer that are sort of running and generating that in I'd say my local area, but if anyone knows Australia, it's massive.
Yeah.
So my local area is 200 kilometers to go to the shop to play the game, so it's not exactly down the road. But yeah, I mean, that's the only sort of place I know at the moment that's running tournaments, and I could be ignorant here in Australia because I don't go to Melbourne, I don't go to Sydney. They're like thousands of kilometers away, so it's one of those kind of situations. So there could be stuff going on there, but I haven't heard about it. But it was a nationals tournament and championship, this one, so people did come from all over Australia to play in it. So I figured, and there was even an American who brought Crute, which was
Oh,
pretty
okay.
awesome. I thought that was awesome. Come all that way from America with your Crute team. He was a pretty cool dude. He didn't lose every game either, just to put that out there.
Well, absolutely random thought as you mentioned it. Talking about other Warhammer channels in Australia, do you know Friendly Geordies?
No,
Okay, doesn't matter.
I
He's
could be totally ignorant.
no. He's had a channel for years. He's an Australian political person. Like talks
Oh
about
god,
politics.
yeah.
But randomly, about 3 months ago, he posted a video about him buying Tau and starting to get back into Warhammer, and they have been by far his most successful videos. And all
Yeah,
of his
right.
other videos are now just people complaining about his politics and saying, "Please go back to Warhammer." It's quite
Go
funny.
back to Tau.
Yeah,
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 come on,
yeah.
man.
Uh,
That's
I've
funny, eh?
got no idea where he is though. All I know
Yeah,
is he
okay. I'll
complains
track him
about.
down. I'll play him. Tau versus Tau would be a good one.
Do
I haven't
it,
done that
yeah.
before.
Bring him
I
into
haven't
the
done
kill
it.
team
So
fold. Yeah, do it.
yeah, yeah. Actually, upon telling a couple of people I was going to do an interview with, like a couple of Australians, like, oh, I'll come on your channel and do something, or whatever. So like, there might be some Australian content there. I don't know. Like, who knows?
Excellent,
But
good.
I thought today would be good just to say Australia, we exist. I know we're on
Ooh,
the other side
ooh.
of the world, and there are some conspiracies that we are actually paid actors. So I mean, anything could happen. You know what I mean? Like I am being paid at the moment to be on here, so you know,
Yes, well, Australia scares me. Is all I can really say, and I could never go there because I'm scared of spiders. So
oh, okay,
yeah,
yeah. Basically, they're all around my bed sometimes. Those big huntsmen.
right.
Yeah, yeah, you'd love it. Crawl
Yeah,
over your
no,
face randomly at night.
no, I genuinely would. Like, it's
Yeah,
terrifying. Um,
yeah,
anyway, let's dive into Tau a little bit. So a lot of people feel, rightly or wrongly, that Tau are possibly the best faction. But I think we could definitely agree that there are at least a gatekeeper faction, which for anybody
yeah,
unfamiliar with the term is you have to have an answer for Tau. You need to know what you're doing in any tournament
yeah.
because Tau are pretty damn strong.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you have your marine equivalent. You've got to have like for your list. I think you've got to have your Tau list.
yeah,
Like you
sure,
said, it's a real hard one to come at sometimes.
definitely. So with that in
Mm.
mind, let's assume that somebody is watching this and much like a year ago, they've just gotten into Kill Team. They like the look of Tau. Tau are very popular. Did a lore video on Tau. They're one of my first loves of GW. Well, that's not true. That's a lie. I'm talking bollocks. I do like Tau though, but when I started, they weren't a faction. But when they were, then they were cool. So somebody's watching this. They like the look of Tau. How would you advise them to begin?
Yeah, sure. I think like first you got to look at what they're actually good at. Yeah, and I think if you had a role for Kill Team, you know what I mean? Like this is the role that Tower play in Kill Team. It's definitely shooting, right? Like they can't do close combat to save their lives, so it's definitely a shooting role, and it's definitely movement and objective holding. So that sort of shenanigans you can do with movement, and that's probably their biggest strength over shooting. I think is their ability to be able to just spam the board, go anywhere they want, grab any objective, grab any secondary objective, that they need to do. So with that in mind, and this has been suggested by other people in the past too, and through experience, it works. So it's hard not to suggest it. You'd start, I think, with Pathfinders, the box set, which gives you drones. You're going to want to get extra drones, and really start the core of your team around there. Did you want me to go into like the strengths and sort of really break it down? Or?
Could we do just a very quick kind of data sheet by data sheet? Obviously drones. We will get to
Yep.
drones and why they're so strong, but like
Yep.
you almost never see. Why don't we ever see a breacher on the table? That kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have found a few roles for things. I have switched recently. Like I have used Fire Warriors as my leader, just for that extra save, that 4-up save instead of the 5-up that the Pathfinder gets. And also, I have a comm specialist that I use on my list, which is a Fire Warrior as well, just for that save bonus. So just in case I don't have some random drone to like save your protocol them or something, I've got a couple of bad people with slightly better saves. You know what I mean? So there is a sort of a use for them. I suppose you could make them breaches if you wanted to, those two particular models. I don't know. I'd probably rather the range on the gun, because they are going to be sort of backfield holders. You know what I mean? Because what I've found with Tau is there's smaller teams within your larger team. You know what I mean? So what I mean by that is if you're going to run, say, like everyone is going to run rail rifles, but you need a support team around that. So you need your recon drone near that. I'll go into this a little bit after, but just as a general breakdown, like you're going to need a recon drone with it. You're going to need a comm specialist near it. You know what I'm saying? And then so you're looking at smaller teams within teams, and then and it's also the same if you're going to use the assault, like the turret, which has the smart missiles and stuff. That needs a support as well. It needs a fire warrior. It needs a couple of other things with it just to keep it alive in the game. So everything else is sort of out there, you know what I mean? So like you have those little reserve forces that are all sort of like helping to work each other in the background, all within range of each other. And then your main team is your drones, which are just spamming out there, and they're trying to keep, I call it like a web, you know what I mean? Like they try and keep a web of contact between all the other models, and this is how I like to do it, and web and sort of zone forward together with them as one sort of unified force. And I think some of my opponents in the tournament got a little bit annoyed. It's just because it's so much measuring. Like I'm always double checking. Am I in greater good range? Am I in range for savior protocols? Am I in range for this? You know, can I get a comms bonus? So there's a lot of things. It's not a real beginner's faction. I wouldn't call it a just like let's just get Tau and it's the first game you've ever played. It does take a little bit of mental acuity to be able to play it and to keep that measurement and the strategy going and to keep that in your mind all the time, because there was a couple of turns in the tournament, especially when I was getting tired, because I don't know if I mentioned, but it was a 7-round tournament over 2 days, so it was epic. It was like we had to play 7 full rounds, so
But over 2
4
days?
on the first. Yeah, 4 on the first day and then 3 on the second. So, I mean, by day 2, I was just wrecked. And the night before, we'd stayed up to like 4 a.m. with my mates, like just play testing our lists. And then we played four in a row. So by game 4, I was just a zombie. And then I was forgetting like these basic things of Tau and movement and stuff like that. So, that's a really important thing to say to new players is like, this is what you really got to think about. You know what I mean? If you're going to go the Tau option, you need to start thinking about, like measurement and movement and distance between models. And it's not just something you're just charging forward is probably a better way to put it. I mean, that's a very basic strategic overview of it. Now, if you have a look at their actual strengths as a team themselves, I'm going to say it like, and you're going to probably agree with me, is rail rifles, right? Like these things are like you can't really talk about them enough. You know what I mean? Like the base Pathfinder model is 7 points for a gunner, and then 5 points for the rail rifle. So that's 12 points for arguably one of the best guns, in the game. You know what I mean? Like it's brutal. It's minus 4 AP, D3 damage, 6 strength. It's got if you roll a 6 on a wound, it's an automatic mortal wound. I mean, it's sort of hard to top that, especially when you can take 3, and especially when you can use drones to protect them as well. So they're actually quite safe up in the backfield there from snipers. So as long as you've got a couple of drones sitting around in savior protocol range, then any enemy snipers or really big guns that are early in on, like say turn 1 and turn 2 to take you out, can be transferred to those drones. If those drones are also sort of sitting, with some sort of partial control, so you've got a pretty good chance of just getting flesh wounds on your drones, even from that stuff. Unless they've got multiple damage weapons, obviously, and spamming dice, that never helps. But the rail rifle itself, it really shocks a lot of people. I find, particularly in this game, one of the, I mean, my best matchups, I reckon, in the tournament were Tyrannid and Death Guard. Death Guard I just wiped. They just could not do anything about it. I mean, the drones just mass moved everywhere, blew away all the Poxwalkers. Poxwalkers tried to charge. I fell back, shot them all to pieces. They couldn't get cover because I could fly over things and like come in behind them. So with the drones, but then the railguns were sitting back and basically just murdered all of their Marines. Like literally one-shotted. Like I think by turn 2, I'd killed every single plague Marine in their unit, and then Poxwalkers then just couldn't make, obviously, morale test as goes to stand. So that was just a over with Death Guard. And I just had a game recently with Death Guard, and same thing. Like it's a tough matchup. Like I'll just put it that way. But Tyrannids, same thing. Basically just concentrated on sniping their warrior nids. Some of the 2 lists I fought, one was a shooty sort of list, and the other one was more of a close combat list. Oh no.
What?
Oh, are you there? I've lost.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, mate. Hopefully you can cut that out. I thought the computer shut down again. It just went
Oh,
blank.
no, I'm here.
Yeah, sorry, mate. So I'll go back over that again. So yeah, the Tyranid list that I was fighting at the tournament, one was close combat and one was ranged, and same thing. Just really took their attention away with the drones, got them thinking about objectives and stuff and where those drones were, and sort of threatened with them, and then just sniped the hell out of their Warriors, and just killed them with one shot most of the time. So and they were both very shocked. I don't think those players had probably fought Tau as much, and same with the Death Guard player I played the other day. It was a total wipe over. I don't even think I lost a model. So yeah, they are quite shocking in that respect. And then if someone's like, oh, well, I've got this excellent sniper rifle, I'll take out the Tau rail rifle, and they just forget that you can save your protocol. You know what I mean? I've got this drone here, and it just saves your life. So I mean, I think I'm with you. They are a gatekeeper list, and they are definitely one of the top tier lists. Definitely, I can't see how.
So I kind of have two follow-up questions. Firstly, again for the beginners, do you want to explain why and how Savior Protocols is so dominant and strong?
Sure. So drone, basically any drone just has to be within 3 inches of a warrior that you want to divert Savior protocols to. So you can imagine that if obviously, like I was saying before, the rail rifles are usually sitting on objectives, or they're sitting in the back line with a good line of sight on the field. So you're having a drone there. You also have an okay range too. So you've also got 4 shots with a drone sitting back with the rail rifle that can usually shoot anything on the board. It's going to hit on 6s, but I find with 4 shots, it's a pretty good chance you're going to get one of those. And with Saucy Sept, you can reroll 1, so it makes it even better chance of getting a couple of hits even with your drone while it's sitting back in reserve. So it's not totally useless. It's not like a wasted model. And then with the Savior protocol itself, you can just basically elect for those shots to go onto that drone. So as long as it's within range, and that's it. And then so all the damage gets applied against the drone, which just happens to be tougher than the Pathfinder with the rail rifle, because it's got a toughness of 4. So it is harder to wound. So it's actually a better option anyway. And then nice and cheap. You can lose a couple if you have to as well with that Savior protocol.
Okay, but of course with Savior protocols, let's say that just to clarify it. Whoever is shooting your, let's say, Pathfinder, because you don't want to you want to take those rail rifles out. You go through the entire shooting process. So you roll to hit, you roll to wound, they roll their armor save. At that point, if you fail your armor save, you can elect to swap that shot over to a drone with Savior protocols. So
yeah, it's pretty nuts.
And if it's a shield drone, they get to make a 5-up potential feel no pain, which is incredibly strong again.
Yeah, which is insane. Yeah. I haven't had a lot of experimentation with shield drones. I've used a couple, but sure. I just find the spamming of the gun drones is just so much more effective. Like instead of being so defensive, like you've already got, with the Savior protocols, I just find just spam the gun drones and get as many attacks on as you can and get as many objectives as. But yeah. There's a potential there. I have seen some pretty, a-hole lists of just all shield drones, that kind of weird shenanigans you could probably do to, just stall opponents and stuff like that. I think it's been
I think in my mind the default Tau list are 3 rail rifles, a Pathfinder leader, or potentially a Kroot leader, whoever, if you want to save that point. A recon drone. Which for those of you that don't know, allows you to remove the cover bonus from
cover bonus and the entry roll bonus minus, which is insane. That's excellent.
And then the rest of your list, whether you're at 100 or 125, is just as many gun drones as you can take. Maybe a shield drone or 2, but generally gun drones.
Yeah. I have experimented with a grav inhibitor as well.
Oh, sure.
I'd take gun drone over that most times. Because the Tau, all the drones can already fall back from charging models and still shoot. So it's with the flyability. So it's I think that's powerful enough anyway.
So again, I'm genuinely focusing this as at beginners. So for beginners, if you play with that list, I highly recommend you play a competitive format and you play with secondaries, because potentially if you're just trying to kill stuff, casual games, you're not super dominant. But as soon as you put in positional secondaries and positional gameplay, you will soon see that um, drones with an 8-inch move that can fly and assault guns, so therefore can advance and still fire, are incredibly good and dominant. So with that in mind,
Yeah.
how can a new player not lose friends whilst playing Tau? What would you recommend they take to not be kicked out of their local
Just
gaming club?
a single crisis suit. Just take
Okay.
that and maybe some breaches.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Keep it fluffy.
or Kroot, just go like a full Kroot towers.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Just
know.
single crude. Yeah.
No, like I've got to say, like they are. Look, they are really good, but they're not immortal. I mean, they
No,
can't
no.
close combat. There's nothing. Like I had a look in the core rulebook. I was thinking, no, do they actually have a close combat weapon? No, there's not a single close
No.
combat weapon in the core rulebook. So I mean, that sort of explains how good they are at close combat, I guess. I mean, I did get into a fisticuff with a at the tournament I was playing Eldar against them, and one of them, the Howling Banshee X, they're nasty, those things when you can't fall back in that. And it was on one of my main rail rifles, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to go good. And it slaughtered it, obviously. And the only thing I could do every turn was just keep charging it with, and just keep sacrificing a drone. I just kept charging every turn, sacrificing a drone, just because it was in my back line, and it was just going to destroy my whole force. So, similar thing happened with Harlequins. In game one, I played Harlequins. I managed to keep them at bay. They were trying to charge the whole time, but I kept them at bay and was just scoring points, second to second. By turn three, he's like, I'm going to lose. I've got to do something. So then he actually came forward. So he came forward and he had that Harlequin ability, the sub-faction, which enables them to consolidate 6-inch, which is actually really good. And he did manage to get through all my defensive fire and got onto my guys and just kept murdering them one after the other and just consolidating. It was actually really good.
Right.
Yeah, didn't do enough and it was too late, thankfully. But yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, if
Interesting. I
you don't want
would
to be hated by your
normally.
mates, don't use Tau.
Okay. Okay. Well, to
Yeah.
to be fair
But
to the
yeah,
Tau,
yeah,
I think that breachers, they can do some work. Like, you're not
yeah,
completely gimping yourself by taking
not
breachers and
100%.
fire warriors. You
Mm-hmm.
can play a fluffy Tau list, and you know what?
Oh, I can't say what.
The not stealth drones. What are they called? Stealth suits. Stealth
Stealth
suits,
suits. They're
really
good. I
strong.
took them to the tournament.
Oh, okay.
I didn't use them, but I
Okay.
did
Well,
take them.
yeah.
I had
Fair
three,
enough. Fair
three on
enough.
the roster. But I was too nervous too. I was like, oh, I want to. But then
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the teams I was coming against were a lot of them were horde teams, and I was like, well, there's no point in me taking a stealth suit. I mean, it's got a burst cannon, but it's not as good as all the drones and things that I could have instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I go for numbers instead against horde, and then just volume of fire to kill them. You know what I mean? Because they're all low toughness and easy to kill. So it was kind of like, well, that was where I always ended up going. I could have probably used. I think there was a couple of matches I played Eldar twice, and I think one of those matches, if I would have taken a stealth suit, I might have gone. I could have done better, I think, because it was that kind of matchup where something like that could have been handy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I still chickened out and used. I had like 5 variations of the list. I was working between. So, and here's another thing too we haven't mentioned is the actual. That thing's amazing, man. Like
Oh
it
wait,
gets written off by a lot of
you
people.
glitched out just as you said the amazing thing.
Sure, sure. The support turret, we didn't mention
Oh,
that.
okay, yeah.
Like as a maybe a must take, not always a must take, but like for some lists, yes. Because
Oh,
I mean, if you're looking at what people are doing what they've always been doing is you're generally putting your leader as the sort of the most crappiest, cheapest model you can in a lot of instances, right? So it's a pretty rude awakening if you can get the smart missile turret and then turn one headshot their leader. I did
yes.
this versus Eldar. Yeah, it's really rude. Hey, this guy's face was amazing. When I did it, it was like turn one. He had a guardian leader, and then he had also one of those Eldar turrets that are really powerful, like the Dark Lance, whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
the heavy weapon platform.
Yeah, heavy weapon platform, and he needed that Eldar guardian in range of the turret to be able to use it. And I headshotted him first turn, with indirect fire. He was even out of line of sight.
Oh,
And it was salty.
yes.
But
Yeah.
he took it well. But it was like, and I actually had cut the head off as a secondary,
Ooh,
so I got full 3 points on the first turn, which
very
really
nice.
turned the tide
Very
for that
nice.
game. Yeah, like it was good luck, but it was. But you've got 4 shots with it, and you just got a 6 with Saucia re-rolling once, so it's not impossible. Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
it can happen. So you got to believe, and I think that's the thing with Tau and shooting. You've just got to believe. Like, don't worry, they only roll 6s. Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Man, like, you just got to go in there, buckets of dice. Like, who cares? you end up having like about 40 shots in one turn, which is just crazy. Like, you're just going shots, 4 per drone. Like everyone's going, "Are you done yet?" And it's like, no, I'm not actually.
Well,
I've
shall
got
we
more shots.
quickly
Here's some more
mention
guys.
that the drones are not 4 shots, they are 2 shots and 2 shots? Do you want to
Yes, which
explain
is even better.
why? For the
Yeah, because
beginners?
they have two separate guns, and each gun is assault 2, so they've got two shots, but of 2 shots, like you said.
But so generally, when you're playing Tau, you do want to roll those guns separately, and the reason for that
Mm.
is because due to the way the injury roll mechanic works, of course, by rolling them separately, let's say your first gun fires 2 shots, hits, wounds, they fail the armor save, injury roll, you flesh wound them. Typically, if you were just firing 4 shots, then you wouldn't be able to attempt to flesh wound again or get to the injury roll again. But because it's a separate gun,
Yeah.
you can re-roll that again and potentially get 2 flesh wounds from a
Yeah.
single drone, which is very powerful.
Super
That's how
powerful.
2
Yeah,
guns work.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's very good. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I totally agree with you there. Now, another thing, new players
Yeah.
have a think about one of the main sort of Tau tactics, and that is for the greater good. And this is another thing which is very powerful. There's the Tau Sept, which gives you Overwatch 5/6, which is quite strong. I generally go to the Saucia one because it just seems to have more utilitarian sort of bonuses, and you get a leadership bonus, which is massive because one of your main weaknesses as Tau is poor leadership. So I think, and you're very prone to breaking. So that +1 leadership puts your your Shisui and that up to 8, which is quite strong. So your leader's got an 8, then it makes it a lot easier to be saving those break tests. So I just think that coupled with the one, reroll ones is quite strong.
Do
But
you
you got
ever
Tau Sept.
remember the bonding knife ritual rule?
Not
No.
generally.
Who does? Who
I
does?
have.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
okay.
know. I've
It
forgotten it
exists.
so
It
many
exists.
times. It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, I mean, what is this? It's too many rules. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's why I don't really beginning faction. It's probably not the easiest. But yeah, with the greater good, basically, if you're within 6 of a model that's being charged, other members of your kill team can then fire in Overwatch as well. So it can be quite powerful. I do remember one of the Tyranid games I played against. He had Kraken, obviously, and he also had a veteran specialist warrior Nid, which was nasty. So turn 1, he was literally, I think it was probably 2 inches away from my rail, like from the advance move. That it was insane. And I'm like, oh my god, like this warrior Nid is like literally right on my line at the beginning of turn 1, and so that really saved my ass. Like for the greater good, actually saved my entire game, I think, on that one, because he was right on where all my main little nest of gun snipers were, and I just greater good at him with everyone. I
Yeah.
just went, you know what, you're gonna die. And like I was lucky enough, I got him. It didn't kill him outright, but took all wounds away, and he was flesh.
Oh.
And then so that actually reduced his combat ability and enough that he didn't have much potential in combat, and then managed to kill him the next turn. So it didn't stall me up that much, but for the greater good, I thank you, Tau, for that, because that saved me pretty
Out of
hard, actually.
curiosity, which model killed him?
I think it ended up being a railgun. Yeah, because we all,
Cool.
it
Nice.
was in, I just got lucky on a 6.
Those
So,
things
as you do.
happen. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Before we head over to the obvious question of sub-factions, we do have to talk about the Crisis Battlesuit. Very cool model. A real centerpiece of a Tau army, or, well, in Kill Team.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, I've used them a couple of times. And I've tried that, the 3 flamer build, which is great. I haven't come across the appropriate horde list to use it on against like an opponent's had, but I might try and play my guy, a friend of mine who has Death Guard and a couple of other things, see if I can use it on that, because it would be ideal for that. Just dropping it right in amongst those Poxwalkers and just killing everything with flamers. Even if you die gloriously, like a blight launcher, kills you in the first turn or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, Crisis Battlesuit. I mean, it's got options, and it's not like the base model itself isn't that expensive, really. I mean, for what it is, it's pretty tough. Can still fly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got all those awesome things. So I don't not rate any of those more elite units like that. I think they're pretty good. I mean, I don't know as far as competitive play goes. It maybe has a purpose. I haven't been bold enough to use it in competitive play, but in my own personal play, I have, and it's reasonably effective. Like I haven't, I haven't lost games over it or anything. Like they've been fairly evenly matched. You do lose some of those things, like you might have to lose some of your rail rifles to put that on there, or if you want to say drone spam. And there was a list. A friend of mine played actually. He's a tower player as well, and he used the drone. The upgrade you can get, and it gives you a drone bonus.
Yeah.
I think it's a drone bonus to hit. Drone control unit. That's what it's called, I think. He did a really different tower list, and then put like the Crisis Battlesuit in the middle, and then just had swarm drones around it, and then took domination and all these center holding objective things, and then really tried to hold the center. So a totally different objective, like something you do with Grey Knights or something. You know what I mean? Like where you get together and you try and survive. You know what I mean? But hold as one and try and get the secondaries you can that are usually like a central holding objective of something. And yeah, that worked okay for him. Didn't win. The demons ended up ripping apart, but only because of that. It's the anti-tower list, because you're limiting yourself to being immobile as opposed to being mobile, which is their strength. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's the only thing I'll say about the drone control unit on the Crisis Battlesuit is I think you're sort of going anti-tower if you use one or two little drones with your Crisis suit sort of assisting it in that sort of capacity, and then you use the rest of the army like you normally would. That could work out all right. But ultimately, it works. It's not bad. You've got some good options there. Look, you could go heavy weapon option instead, which is just as cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do like to, with the stealth battle suits, if I run them, I generally run them in 3s, and 1's usually a comms, and then obviously then you have like a heavy specialist, would be like your fusion gun or something, the bigger gun. That's not a bad tactic either, because you've got all the fly options. You can drop them in, you can hot drop them in. On turn 1, you can do all sorts of stuff with them, so you can get into good range to like headshot a good, something valuable on the enemy side too as well. But again, probably better rail rifles doing it with all their bonuses.
Well,
but
sadly,
it's still there. Like I hate it's a little bit discouraging, but maybe if they change how points are scored, and like I've heard some of your interviews and with Bieran and that saying how you're going to do those things, and maybe if they change that, I think that could affect how you played Tau. Like if you wanted to go for more for kills and things, so it might change the meta and how it works, I guess. But Crisis suits, I've definitely, I've used them. I've got a couple played around with. I've played against them. They're not bad. I wouldn't take them, as I said, just don't have that sort of courage in me.
Fair enough. Okay, so I think that's a very brief overview of all of the possible units. So let's talk very quickly about. Did you want to talk about drones? Sorry. Hold on. Let's quickly talk about the most important thing. I can't believe we didn't bring this up earlier. Marker lights.
Okay.
Done. Don't take them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, GW.
Yeah. Honestly, like I think Tower's super powerful, but they need to buff marker lights. Anyway.
Yeah. We don't want to make it. Do we want to make them more powerful? I mean,
it should be a valid option,
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry for the just random laughter, but I haven't even thought to actually. Maybe it might work. Maybe in
no.
If you're not playing competitive play.
No.
No. Let's just face it.
No.
No.
Yeah. They're terrible.
No,
so you wanted to mention drones?
Yeah, I don't know if we went into we sort of briefly touched on it, but I think they are your main unit mentioned, but the fallback ability with shooting with fly is something that you need to be aware of all the time, and can really get you out of a lot of situations, but also put the enemy in a bad. You get like say against horde armies, and they're trying to advance forward, and then they charge. Then you've got that option then of just that full fallback. With the drone and still being able to shoot, which leaves them out in the open or wherever they were charging you, and you shooting them in the face, which is ideal if you're a tower player. It's quite amazing actually. And also the cost as well, as someone did mention, like cost of drones is really great. We touched on the recon drone there. It's the same price, like 7 points. So it's great. You can only have one, alas.
Sure.
But I mean, it's OP. Like the recon drone for 7 points is probably the best model in the game for that, right? I mean, for the bonuses it can give, it's like, yeah, you know, you lose your your minus to hit from on an enemy, and you don't get the minus for injury rolls as well. So that is super strong. You combine that with a comms specialist, and then I usually take a sniper as a RAL, and then you give him the bonus to hit as well. So you're down to 2 to hits, re-rolling ones most of the time, and it's pretty rude, really, like when you think about it. But you could roll a double one, just saying, but not generally. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, of course, Saucy
So-
Sept, you re-roll once. So
You re-roll one, so yeah, exactly right. So yeah, and then just, you know, as we mentioned before, like the drone itself, you know, gives that savior protocol bonuses again. So that's another really big bonus of them. The falling back, as I said, the flying, you know, terrain means nothing. You know what I mean? Like you can just fly over terrain like it's not there. I mentioned before that in versus Death Guard, I was doing a lot of things where Death Guard were trying to get out of line of sight of all my shooting line, and then they were hiding behind buildings and stuff in terrain, and I'd just fly the drones over the top of the terrain behind them and just go, hey, bang, bang, in the back, you know what I mean? So, and then getting in better positions, and Poxwalkers can't shoot, so it was a bit of a massacre, really. So anything like that, or, you know, gaunts that can't shoot or something like that, or just out of their range, or say enemy has a flamer or something, just drop them, you know, just out of flamer range and just shoot the hell out of them. You know what I mean? It's really annoying to your opponent. Do Dr. Evil laughs and, you know, like whatever you want to do.
okay.
But yeah, drones, get as many as you can.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that. Yeah. You do have to. I think that is actually quite a barrier to entry. If you don't have a big 40k army, you need an awful lot of drones, and you only get 2 in a set.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily for me, anyway, my mate that I got them off, he just had a whole bunch of spare stuff. I said, look, I need like 8 drones. Just can I buy 8 drones and a recon? And he just went, yeah, sure, yeah, go for it. He's got like, you know, thousands of points of 40k armies. He was cool with that thing. But a lot of my armies I buy on eBay on auctions, actually.
Sure.
And it's a good way. The bits that you need, you know what I mean? Just those little bits. Instead of buying a whole box set for just one model or something, I can just try and bid on that one model that I want, and, you know. It might be slightly more expensive than buying it individually, you know, but you have to pay $70 or something for a box set.
So
if you're a pauper like me.
Are there, just kind of wrapping it up a little bit, are there any standout tactics that you think, because, you know, everybody now has lots of tactics. Are there like 1 or 2 that you're like, these are the ones to actually know about?
Yeah. You know what? Like, what I find with Tau is their actual tactics I don't find that strong. They're not great. Like they're pretty average. What I find in most games, I'm using the specialist tactics most. So either the specialist tactics or I'm using just your general tactics. A lot of the time I've used, you know, like obviously I use the sniper one a lot. Demolition one I use a lot as well. Any of those things that add onto the shooting of a rail rifle is what I'm generally. So the one that stops you from, you can auto pass a morale check. I've used that so many times to say, my final game in the tournament was against a mate of mine, actually. He was playing Grey Knights. I know you're a Grey Knight player.
I am.
Yeah. And it was super close. Like just everything went against me, the whole game, dice, everything set up. He was actually doing a really good job. And he, what were we talking about? I just totally lost my frame.
We're talking about tactics.
Tactics, yeah. I used the auto pass. Like I had 2 models left, and it was the last turn. Like my whole team was wiped out. It was broken. I was winning on points because I'd been holding primaries. I'd maxed out most of the secondaries. So I had 2 models left, and I had 1 CP left. And we worked it out. We worked it out before this, and we're like, geez, if this guy doesn't make his morale test, like you're going to win the game basically with Grey Knights, which is, shock horror. Yeah. So I was like, this can't happen. So I'm busting my brain, and it was like, of course the auto pass. So like I used my one thing, it won me the game. It was insane. It was by 1 point. Yeah. So it was really nail biting. Like, by that time, because it was the last game, the 7th game, you know, on the second day, everyone was watching our game, and it was intense because we were friends, but we're quite competitive against each other. Like we're, because we can lose those social barriers of niceness.
Yeah.
So we were sort of like at each other and like really picking each other up on rules, and because we knew we were so close to each other and winning, so it was a really good competitive game. So, but yeah, going back to your question, I really don't rely much. Besides the ones where you drop in, you can drop in the there's one where you can drop in 3 drones or stealth suits. That one I've used a bit. Crisis Battle Suit has its own one, like you use that as well. There is the one I have used once. You can basically, every wound you take, it's pretty death denied type of thing. For 1 CP, every wound of that phase, 5-6. You can save that wound, you know what I mean? So I have actually used that one before when I had no drones left on, say, a rail rifle to save your protocol him, and he was going to get wiped out. I just threw caution to the wind. So look, 1 CP, give it a go, see if you can survive.
Stim injector, I think.
Yeah, that one. But ultimately, man, I'll have a read through them. There's not really many that stick out, and which could be a bit disappointing. But I think the team's fairly strong anyway. But as I said, with the sort of tactics that you would use to win the game, the specialist tactics are the best. Like that's what you find yourself using, or a reroll, like a critical reroll as well. Is another I'd tend to spend points on and save it for that. It does have that really crappy. It's kind of like Death Denied, but not as good. Like it was already 3 points. The one that the Tau have was already 3 points. Yeah, but it's a 4-5-6 to do like a Death Denied type of thing, and it's like for 3 points, and it's the worst tactic I've ever read.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. So it's like, I've never really. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. That's scrap that. Wipe that out of the thing. That was demon.
Okay.
That's demons. Wipe that out. Yeah, that's my bad.
Oh right. Okay. Okay.
Lack of sleep idiocy.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Edit that one. I don't
want to look it's staying in. It's staying in.
Oh yeah, it's staying in. Oh yeah. This guy know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So for 2 things. Firstly, I'm happy that you won against the Grey Knight player, because if the Grey Knight player had come first, I would have no excuse for losing with Grey Knights, and that would just be bad optics. Yeah,
I'm going to break your heart here though, because in that tournament, 4th and 5th place were taken by Grey Knight.
No, I'm aware. Yeah. That's fine.
Which is,
they weren't first.
Yeah, that's fine. You're good with that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's not even top
worries.
3.
Well,
useless.
I know, but
yeah. And then I suppose, kind of wrapping up again, the beginner Tau thing is not sure how to phrase it. I want to ask, how do you beat Tau? But really, I'm asking, as a Tau player, which lists are you afraid of? What do you not want to see on the other side of the board? Which might be a bit of a tough question.
No, I've faced a few. Hey, Tyranids was the one I was originally, before I'd actually fought them in a competition, I was really afraid of, because at that time, this is like mid-year this year, Tyranids were that real strong meta. Everyone was taking them to all those overseas tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, wow, they could really kick my ass. So, and I had to think like with their Kraken and how quickly they can move, and I was thinking, oh, okay, this could be bad. But honestly, it ended up they were my easier matches at the tournament. Might have been the list setups. I was actually surprised. I thought maybe if they took like a full Gene Stealer sort of list, it might have worked a bit better against me, but they took the Gaunt Warrior sort of one, and it didn't really work too well on both of them. They're both really good players too. Because after the 7 games, it was that Swiss chess sort of matchup. So because it won continuously, it sort of, I was only just playing the top guys, you know what I mean? So the matches were getting harder and harder and harder as I went on, which was insane. But yeah, I think anything, I did struggle. The Eldar actually did give me a really good run. I had 2 games with him. The guy who eventually won the tournament was the only guy to beat me, and he had Eldar. Right. And there's something about, I don't know what it is, there's the low model count, but they're just all so elite, you know what I mean? Like with all the Exarchs and they were just a hard nut to crack. I just, I did struggle a little bit at that. There was one turn, I was winning the sort of the final against the 2 of us that were winning. We were both undefeated. And I was winning on points. I was doing my normal thing. I was controlling the board. I had all the points. Everything was going sweet. And it all really came down to one roll in the 3rd turn, I think it was. And I'd lost the drones that were protecting my rail rifle, so they were very exposed at the back. He had striking scorpions, which were sort of threatening them, a few other things he dropped in. But I was winning on points. I'm like, I've got this. I've just got to tie up this turret that he had. And so I've got this drone, and all he had to do was this charge. It was literally 6 inches, and I rolled. It was like 3 or something, and then so I went, this is a critical point. I'll re-roll. Did it again and failed on 4. So, and from that, he literally obliterated my whole team in one turn. It was brutal. Like, I mean, saying that, like, all props to him. He's an excellent player. But the rolls were just
I would say
sixes.
that
And I was
must be
just like,
dice.
whoa.
That's dice.
Yeah, and that was dice, but it was all, he's a good player too. He had good positioning. He had good, he'd thought about all this. He just got lucky. And the fail, if I would have failed that, I would have held up his whole line, and then I would have scored all of those points. But look, it is what it is. It's just the game. And it's that's what makes it fun too. But Eldar, definitely. And the second Eldar player I had a bit of trouble with as well. It was a very close game. I only beat him by a couple of points. And that's because he managed to get his Howling Banshee as Exarch into my back line. And I just couldn't do anything about it with that rule that they've got where I can't react to, you can't react to their charges. It's insane. It's a really good unit, that one against Tau. It's like their nemesis, really. Like something that can do that is a Tau nemesis. And he managed to just keep eating through my line. And as I said, I was sacrificing drones, just trying to hold him up for 4 turns while I could do the damage elsewhere. So it got very close, but that was the guy I headshotted in the first turn with the turret. So
okay. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Ultimately, I think that actually won me the game, being able to headshot him in the first turn. Otherwise, his Howling Banshee wrecked my day, I think. But but those who else? Look, anything with good shooting as well. I think, like, anything with good shooting that can hold out is a bit durable. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Is not bad.
Like,
But nothing too small, like AdMech or something like that. Yeah, AdMech have good shooting. I did fight do AdMech team. They were okay. They held up pretty good. They had some dropped in some of the infiltrators, or whatever they're called. Those incepted. What are those things called? The things with the auto gun and the robot things. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Sorry, I haven't had coffee at all. It's like 6 a.m. So it's pretty early in the morning. So he dropped in those. He managed to sort of really pressure my back line, which held a lot of my defensive stuff. I had to pull more drones back to try and protect my main assets. You know what I mean? While they were getting into close combat, they're quite fast. And I didn't manage to score as many points. So he managed to hold me there, and then with good shooting, was able to take down quite guys too. And they do have good shooting. The AdMech, they're not too bad, but ultimately it was a points thing. It's on that again, as you do, as a tower player, I guess. Yeah. Those ones, as I said, horde teams usually pretty easy, just because you can just spam buckets of bullets.
Yeah, sure.
And you can kill anything that's big with your rail rifles. So it's sort of they're easy. Like I shouldn't say easy matchups. They're just easier matchups for a standard tower list, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah.
So I'm not really a tower player, despite me liking the faction. I haven't played them much, but I think one of the keys to killing Tau is getting flamers or an auto-hitting weapon or anything that has a lot of shots into their rail rifle nest. They're probably done. If you can get, if you can manage to get 2 flamers with doing 6 hits, you will kill that entire nest. Because of course, the way Savior Protocols works is, you will take that out. That would be the thing that really scares me.
I suppose I have fought a couple of lists like that, and the Eldar ones did have 2 flamers in them. They had the those Storm Guardians. Storm Guardians. They had Storm Guardians in the list, and he was using them to effect. He was holding middle things, so my drones couldn't come. But the thing was, with that, I just sat back at my range.
Sure.
And if he tried to advance towards me, I'd just fall back. But obviously, if you're in the back line already, and rail rifles can't move out of the way.
Oh yeah,
that is
they have to somehow get back to you.
Somehow.
Ignore that bit. Just
ignore all that.
Then it's
but I totally feel you. Like, I was very afraid of that too. My only thing I could do there was I put drones, like against flamers and that, I put drones into outer line of sight basically, and then what I do is I charge that flamer with a drone, and then just hold him up, and then get myself near that objective. You know what I mean? So I could do that, but that's about the only thing I could really do to counter that. Besides just keeping him at bay with fallback fire sort of thing. But that is like a massive weakness of the tower. Like we probably haven't mentioned, is they are frail, right? Like in general, most of them are toughness 3, except for drones, which are 4, obviously. But most things are toughness 3 and quite easy to kill. Like your Pathfinder, only have a 5-up save, etc. So if they do actually if the enemy can actually get proper shots or or gets into close combat, heaven forbid, if they ever get to close combat, you're pretty much toast.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like with your one attack and you're doing nothing basically. So that is probably their main weakness, is what I'd say about Tau, is sort of frailty. But it's sort of always, it's like any horde army, right? It's countered by points cost, right? Like that's how I see it. So you just bring more bodies and just don't worry about losing things.
Yeah.
Kind of like if you play orcs. Like if you play orcs, right? You just go, I'm going to lose like half my army. Like in turn 2, it doesn't matter. Just get them in there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Um,
That's the orcish way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the orcish way.
Okay, well, I think that's a pretty good summary of Tau in general. Normally, at this point, I would ask you to kind of recap your day, like your actual games. But I feel like you've already given quite a few anecdotes. Unless there's anything else you wanted to add in specifically, but don't feel the need to do like a play-by-play, unless you want to do that, of course.
No, that's okay, man, yeah.
Anything that really stood out?
Anything that stood out, yeah. Well, definitely the Grey Knight fight that I had with my mate is probably the one that stood out to me. Definitely the most competitive game I've played. Everything went wrong in that one. Like it was like just
to quickly clarify, I assume you played 100 points, not 125?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Cool.
That's probably an interesting thing for your viewers anyways, because in Australia, it's Warhammer that are running, well, to my knowledge, it's a big place, as I said, but where I am, it's Warhammer that are running all the content for tournaments. There's been no private tournaments that I know of from independent game stores or anything. It's always been Warhammer. So, we sort of, that's what they've chosen. They've chosen the 100-point format, and I guess because they've chosen that, and it's the Australian titles, it's all these things, that's kind of our benchmark. Like that's what we use now, is always 100 points. I don't actually know anyone that uses 125 points, which I know is like now that's sort of US and UK are kind of going that way and have gone that way. Sorry, but for us, 100 points is still our main go-to. So it's a little bit different, a little bit more restrictive, I guess. But but again, I quite like it. But we are going to start playing a bit more 125 just to on par with you guys and just see how it is. Because obviously you've got more options there. You can take that bigger thing, or you can take that stealth suit that you wanted if you're Tau. You know what I mean? Or 3 more drones, whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, just to touch on that quickly, I assumed that you weren't playing arena, you were playing open missions, right?
Yeah, that's another thing I should probably say too, is that there is no arena play here.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't even know anyone that owns an arena set, which is might be strange for you guys, because I know that like American format's got like 1 day arena, 1 day open. And I don't know about you guys in the UK, but here it's all open play. I don't think there's any one individual that has enough arena boards that could actually probably, you know what I mean? Like could probably help run that. And I don't think the store has that either. So I think that's probably the limiting factor on. So we don't tend to, like I've never even played an arena, which might sound odd to a lot of us, but it's always been open play with us. So that's sort of our format. That's how it's been since day one here. So I am interested in it though.
Yeah. Interestingly, so one of the big arguments, 100 or 125, which should you play? I think one of the big, and I would argue valid, arguments for playing at 100 instead of 125, which is what most people want to play, is that the game was balanced around 100.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's not go too deep into my thoughts on that. But it was balanced around, for a competitive, at 100 in arena. So, arguably, as soon as you're not playing in arena, you might as well change up the format beyond just that. So, something to consider.
Yeah, our hands are kind of tied with the because Warhammer run it.
Yes.
It's what they want to use. You know what I mean? It's not like we don't have like an independent tournament organizer like yourself or some of the other guys going around. And we sort of probably need that, I think, because the actual content coming out is really like, I think in the entire time that Kill Team's been around, there's only been 3 tournaments in I say my area, but it's still way away from me.
Yeah.
Within my zone of that I can actually get to. There's only been 3 tournaments that I even know of. So, which is probably not enough. Like if you're a competitive player like myself who wants to get out there and test their teams and all that sort of stuff competitively.
Yeah.
I think it's probably time Australia steps it up a bit. those things, and then we might aim to do that, amongst the scene that we have here, for us to look into some stuff like that.
Awesome.
But props to Warhammer too. They do put on good tournaments, prizes. It's good. It's a nice thing, and you've got the shop there, and it's always a good sale thing too, I guess, for them.
Hopefully,
that's cool. But that's cool. You've got to keep them going. So
yeah.
Well, they're probably
Looking
going
at
right.
Their stock price.
Yeah,
they clearly need help. Yeah.
There's some crazy stuff with pricing, but I won't go into that. I don't understand personally, but yeah.
No, I couldn't even imagine being a Warhammer player and living in Australia or New Zealand. The prices are insane.
Dude, like the box sets here are like just for I was pricing something the other day, like $75 box sets, and I'm talking for just 5 models. It's whew. But then you can get that's the difference. So the Orc Commandos, say you got a Commandos box versus say buying an Orc Knob box or boys, which is like $48. It's like $75 or $78 for the Commando box, which has less stuff in it and less conversion upgrades and stuff like that than the Knobs box does. It's kind of like, and you get a free ammo run in the in the Knobs box. It's kind of like, where are you going with this, guys? I don't really understand. I don't know. The pricing does my head in. But anyway, they're there. We play the game, so
no, indeed, you got to do it somehow.
Yeah. So we're going to give props where they're due, but pricing, guys, work it out.
Okay, well, I think that's a pretty good overview of it. Oh, sorry, we went on a complete tangent. Did you actually want to? Did you actually want to kind of say anything specific about the Australian Championship Kill Team tournament?
Yeah. Like I said before, it was 7 rounds played over 2 days, which sounds intensive for some of the ones I've heard you guys.
I've never heard of that before.
So I mean, if you think about how we played, I had to win. Well, I ended up getting 6 wins, 1 loss. Right. So it was quite intense. By that 7th game, I was just burnt out. I was just like, because there's a lot of people close. You know what I mean? There was a lot of people who were on a bit of a winning streak. Who hadn't played each other yet. So all the best players were in a pool, and those last couple of games were really the best of that pool, sort of working themselves out. And I know that you guys you do actually over there, you sort of have pods, don't you, where you play in that pod, you win that pod, you go on. Is that how it works?
That's America.
America, right, yeah.
Specifically, we just have Nova does and I think Adepticon did pods.
Right, yeah.
Which is,
We don't have that. We don't have that at all. So it's really just a Swiss sort of setup where it's the best players playing each other and sorting themselves out all through the tournament until there's only 1 or 2 left, sort of thing. So that's kind of how we play it.
Out of curiosity, who were the top 3 faction placements?
I can give you the top 7 if you want. Oh, I lied actually. Grey Knights come 3rd, dude. That's even better.
Oh, they podiumed. Shit.
Yeah. You see, this is what happens.
Not good.
Yeah, don't feel bad, man. Don't feel. I know the guy.
Bit I will edit out.
He's a good player. Yeah, edit that out. You'll edit this out, but not the other stuff. Where I look like a moron. Okay. So, Elder first. He had a really an elite team, I'd call it. Like it was just all Exarchs. He had the weapon platform. He was really, really, really good player. Young guy. He knew the rules, I think, 100 times better than me. So I think that's what won him on that one, and then the good dice rolling. But
do you happen to remember his sub-faction?
No, I can't offhand. Sorry, but it was literally like months ago. Obviously, Tau, myself, second. The order I went 7-0. I went 6-1, and then we had Grey Knights in 3rd and 4th. Actually, yeah. And then we had Space Marines in 5th. I don't know how that one happened. No, okay. I didn't play this army. I didn't see it. There was quite a lot of players there, a lot of tables. I didn't actually see this guy. There was a guy. What was it? Yeah, there was a couple of weird sort of lists there, but I'd say this would have been a mixture. I'd say this is more of an army along the line. Say Michael was using at the last tournament, and with scouts and things back. It would have been something more like that, I think, that this guy was running, because I did see an army there that had scouts, that had different bits and pieces, like not like a normal Primaris one or something. Because I've got Imperial Fists. I've had 12 games with them. I can't win. I've played against as many factions as I can. I try it like I'm a good player. I do everything I can. I've given them to other good players to fight me, and we just can't win. With a Primaris list, it's just it's hard.
Too expensive.
Anyway, and then sixth place we had Death Guard. There was quite a lot of Death Guard players there. We had, I think it was 3 or 4 actually out of the 25 we had. and then Tyranids 7th. And I played most of those players actually, except for the Space Marine and the second Grey Knight player. I played all those.
Right.
The other ones in the top 7, I guess there is there. Now we had, I will say, because Australia is a large place, as I said before. This was in Brisbane, Mount Gravatt, which is near Brisbane. But we had 6 interstate players. I got these stats from the shop itself. So 6 interstate from other capital cities who were sort of good players from those capital cities who came in to play with us. And we also had 1 representative from the USA who flew over just for the tournament.
Wow.
And I think I was telling you before that he actually brought his Kroot arm, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. He did, and as I said to you before, he didn't lose every game. I think he actually won 2 out of 5, 2 out of 7, I think,
Not
or
terrible.
it was 2 or 3. I don't want to do him any injustice.
No.
So please correct me if I was wrong there, because I don't have the stats in front of me. But he did do as bad as everyone would think. With you know what I mean,
Yeah,
he did win a couple. So anyway, give him that. I did find that the last one I went to, everything had changed. There were no Death Guard. Most of the teams, there was still Tyranid. There was a couple more Tower players. Maybe they saw me at the first tournament because I was the only Tower player at the first tournament,
okay.
and I think people were like, "The Tower, really?" I don't think they'd still caught on to the trend, how good they are. I didn't really know myself either, but I'd done a lot of math hammering. I'd done a lot of SAD hammering, and really worked out a lot of things and how to use them and how to keep them in range. So I was a little bit frustrating to some of my opponents, and I do apologise that if they are listening, because this second tournament I ran Demons, and my games were over so quickly all the time because they're just so easy to use, But Tower, a real thinking team, you've really got to keep ahead of yourself with doing and measure everything twice, as I said before. So that's one thing I'd say about that tournament aspect of that. It's a good shop. It's a championship store, the one in Mount Gravatt, the Warhammer shop. It's got a massive big room, big enough obviously to hold tournaments, so we can have 32 players and stuff like that. So props to them for holding it on as well. So
very impressive. I don't know if you know, but if you ever come to the UK, most of our Games Workshop stores, Warhammer stores, are single man stores, and they will have 1 table. That's it.
Yep. Most of the ones in Australia are the same.
Oh, are they? Okay.
We're the same. Yeah, I think we had a 50th celebration this year, which meant 50 stores in Australia.
Oh, cool.
And I think there's only this one's labeled as a championship store, so I don't know. I think that just means that it's got the facilities to be able to hold national championships and stuff. It has that space.
I guess if they make 1 sale, that's their rent for the month. So
right,
yeah, it makes sense.
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. I'm sure they pay their store operators like minimum wage or something. Yeah, it wouldn't be massive. I'm sure. I'm sure they're lovely people. So take that out. Yeah, but yeah.
A final question about the Australian Championship there. Were there any factions notably absent?
The lack of Tau was one. I thought there'd be more.
Yeah, sure.
Necrons, no Necrons.
Okay.
I thought that would be sort of there because I've got some really strong builds on that, and I experiment with my friend. Some amazing Necron lists you can. But anyway, side point. What else wasn't there? Yeah, there was, as I said, there's a lot of Death Guard. There was 2 Eldar players. There was Tyranids. The usual suspects, really. Was a couple of Space Marine players, as I said, which is good. Good to see. Giving it a go anyway. Good luck. Unless you're the best player in the world, or you're like Michael or something. How you work that? I've got to experiment a bit more, I think. But yeah, pretty much those ones. Yeah, Tau. The noticeable absence to me was Tau and Necron. Wasn't. And that is one thing I didn't say is I think Necron are a pretty good matchup against Tau as well.
Okay.
I didn't say that before, but I just jogged my memory then. Necrons have some answers. You know what I mean? The savior protocols, that kind of stuff can really make a big difference, especially with rail rifles where you roll damage.
Yeah.
Some of the Necrons I've played, you do 3 damage on a rail rifle, you're going to roll a 6 probably.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, I have had a little bit of trouble with breaking Necrons like I would a normal team, and they are, they have good saves and stuff as well. So
yes.
That is one team I would say, if you're Tau, that is one to have a bit of a think about. They can be quite nasty. As an opponent. But yeah, that's the tournament itself. That was it. I mean, as I said, 7 games was exhausting. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. And I don't know. They'll probably use that format next year. But that's fine. We're just slaves to what they want to do, and that's cool. But it does give you a lot of experience, so I guess that's one good way to put it. Makes up for the lack of other tournaments that we have. It's like having 2 tournaments in one kind of thing. So yeah, beyond that, as I said, the matchups against Tyranids and Death Guard were my easier matchups. The Harlequin one gave me a little bit of a trouble. I was winning on points. I wasn't worried about losing that game, but it was just as soon as he could actually initiate his game plan, I was slightly worried because he was starting to move through my line with that 6-inch consolidation, moving into my rail rifles from drones. I tried to block him. I tried to put things in front of him, and I just had to keep sacrificing stuff. And I think that's another key to Tau is you just got to be willing to sacrifice drones. Look, they're just crappy little AI things. Who cares? They just mass spit them out of a factory somewhere. So
yeah.
It's always. I did say this to my mate when we were playing Death Guard. You got Death Guard. I'm sorry, Death Guard. Grey Knights. Grey Knights are like the Emperor's finest. You know what I mean? And this little Tau drone that's worth like $10 out of the machine at the Tau factory just killed one, and I was just like, how do you feel about that? Like this guy's gone through his whole life, he's had to do all these things, replace all of his organs, and he just got shot by a tin can basically that can't shoot straight. Ouch.
Yeah.
I think one of my finest moments was I did actually kill a Harlequin in close combat with my I think it was my comm specialist, my Fire Warrior comm specialist, which was insane. One attack. That Harlequin did like he was like a zealot specialist or something. He had like 5 attacks. He had all the strength bonuses. He had the Harlequin's kiss. He had everything. Come in on this dude. Missed everything. Just bummed every roll. And then my comm specialist went 6, failed his invuln 6 on injury. It was just like, sorry about that, bro. Just Space Clown just gets like taken out by a little a space fish. I guess
the way it goes.
Space fish.
That's the way it goes.
So
that's nice.
Sucks to be you.
So, yeah.
That was one moment I remembered. But other than that, the matchups were pretty competitive. I'd say, like as I said, like the top 7 I played most of them, and they were all really players. I was I didn't consider myself a good player when I went there. I thought I'd lose every. That was I just went in there saying, okay, I've got this team together. I've been experimenting. We've been playing heaps of we'll just give it a go. I mean, like we'll just see how I go. Sort of, I'm a bit, OCD-ish where I like to like know everything. You know what I mean? I like to know everything and every measurement. So like that does help me a little bit too. And I've been wargaming for over 30 years too.
Right.
Not so much with Warhammer, but a lot of medieval stuff and different things. So I've got that movement strategy already. Is what I mean to say. Like a lot of those historical war games are all about movement and proper deployment and stuff like that. So that's something that's ingrained in my head. I think it's what sort of makes me a better kill team player, I guess, like a better base, because I've sort of got that. It's all about deployment. It's all about movement in my head already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why Tau's a good team for me too. I think it's because I can do that. You know what I mean? I can sort of execute that sort of game plan with good movement and fluid, sort of rapid response to stuff. You know what I mean? Which is what I kind of like anyway, like in a game. So, but yeah, as I said, I'm not a guy who limits myself to one team. I actually nearly haven't touched Tau since the tournament because I wanted to learn other teams, and I've gone on and played other tournaments with other teams. You know what I mean? So, the last one we just did a tournament about a month or so ago. Took Demons to that one. Actually, I was just talking to the guy. We placed equal first in points on that one, so I think we had about 15. There, someone correct me in the comments. I don't know the stats, but placed equal first on that one. And it was just a 4-round tournament, so it was 3 wins, 1 draw, and we both drew. Like the guy who became equal first drew, but I ended up coming second because Games Workshop or Warhammer, I think it goes on best painted then and best. Best game, like
soft
people
scores,
vote you for best game. Yeah. So, which is fine. Like that was awesome. Yeah. So, we were all good about it. It's all fun and games. So, I want to get that guy and do a few more games with him just privately too, just because good to have good players to, bash against. You know what I mean? Like to just sort of make yourself better. And I definitely have a lack of that where I am. I live rurally, so I travel for that. To get that experience. So, definitely plan to do it more.
Out of curiosity, who was the kind of top 3 in the most recent tournament?
Yeah, sure. We had so he was running Tyranids. I had Demons. Necron.
So
Necron come in.
You said previously that although you had been afraid of Tyranids, you actually in the original tournament had handled them without an issue, really. But this time they beat you. Was it not a swarm list, or how did they do it?
No, it was well, it was a draw, like with no differentiating
Sure.
factor between us, like that they could actually. So they had to draw on like best painted, best to split that draw, I guess. So we scored equal points on it, and we lost pretty much about the same too. It was a really weird objective. We had to. It was actually, I don't know why they did this one. I can't remember the exact name of the objective. It's one mission, sorry, but it's the one where you've got to actually capture the enemy's like team, like members of their team, and you've got to be within. Yeah, it's
Oh my
ridiculous. It's
gosh.
one from the.
You were playing
Yeah, I
that?
know. I don't know. I know.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
It was more of a casual tournament, and as I
Yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
I didn't organise this one at all. So
Yeah, sure.
that was the last mission, which was horrible as our last one because it was like, well, you can stall each other out, and both of us being sort of semi-professional players were like, well, we know how to play this to win,
Yeah.
and we both thought exactly the same, obviously. So we stalled each other out. We got some good moments. There was some pretty mad moments where some big scrums of like just bodies, like demons versus gaunts and warriors, and I learned a lot about Tyranids in that one. Actually, I hadn't they actually could initiate their game plan a little bit better with some of the shenanigans they can do with firing into close combat and stuff. It was crazy.
Yep.
But as I said, it was just a bit of a stall. It was probably, I don't want to say it was the worst game, but it was the most stalled game and a bit frustrating because neither of us, although we both felt that, I wish we were playing another one of the awesome scenarios we had before that, because we could have actually, differentiated who won. You know what I mean? Like we could have said, we had better objectives. We had things that we could actually score where you just max out, what you can score and you get a draw. It's like, well,
Yeah.
there's not much you can do about that. So it's kind of, but that was all good. It was some pretty tidy games in there. But Necrons came third. There was a couple of Necron teams there, and they did really well. And it was a list that I wouldn't have ever thought of myself. So it was like some Lich Guards, 2 Lich Guards, and a Death Mark, and then a couple of Warriors, which was a really strange list. Very small elite list, and the shooting was on point, and the Lich Guards did the work in close combat, and it actually worked. Like he went 3-0. So I was actually really impressed with it, because another mate of mine ran a Necron list, which I think is just super overpowered when you can pull it off, and that's just 1 Lich Guard, and then you had 8 flayed ones.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, you take the close combat sub-faction.
Yeah.
You can pretty much re-roll all hits and then re-roll all wounds.
Yep.
It's completely insane. Like, I fought him in test games with my orcs and a couple of other ones, and just got obliterated. Like, I just couldn't do anything. Like, when you can re-roll it, like 3 attacks base, re-roll all hits, re-roll all wounds. It's just like, wow, I'm just gonna die every time you attack. It's like there's nothing I can do.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I really think they're going to be. I've already seen them in tournament. They are good. So, and we've done a lot of play testing with them. So, it's another standout list that was there. I guess was the flayed one, but that was his first tournament moment. So, sort of, he wasn't as experienced at that time. He's a lot more experienced now.
Sure.
But I think he'd probably kick ass now. But I was worried about going against him actually, because demons obviously it's all about charging, and the Necrons still get, even if you charge them, they still get that bonus. Of re-rolling hits. So and then so that's pretty much that. Other than that, just good games, man, and worked out all right for us.
Nice. Now I believe, as you said, there haven't been that many tournaments around where you are. There is another one coming up soon, is there not?
Yeah. Now let me just not get this wrong. So it's at Warhammer Mount Gravatt, which is in Queensland. It's on the 18th of January, and it's 4 rounds at 100 points. So that's pretty much all you need to know. The schedule's actually on their Facebook page if everyone's keen. But it'd be good to get more players there. I mean, we got there was some new faces at this one, so like obviously, and a lot of the people who were at the original one, this one. So one good thing is from the Australian tournaments, I did actually play against the guy that beat me in the Australian tournaments and beat him this time. So that was a good thing. He did bring Drukari. Had a really good list. It was mainly Kabalite sort of focused.
Yep.
So he had really good guns, and he had the Incubi, which are really good close combat. So you'd think that's a pretty good matchup against demons. Some good close combat. I had some pink horrors and stuff. Did really well against it. Demons are another thing. They've got some amazing stuff, which people still seem to be unaware of. We'll go into that another time. But 18th of January, we've got that going on there at the store. So it'd be good to get some more players from Australia.
And
And
so
hopefully next year
that's
we can attract some international players to the next national championships. Some more international players would be awesome.
well,
That'd be
certainly I know
fantastic.
that Games Workshop did obviously announce that they were doing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Australian Championships.
yeah.
They
In there.
aren't doing any in England, but
Yeah,
yeah,
right. Okay. Yeah, that's weird, eh?
yeah,
That's
it's a
weird.
bit
Like
weird. It's a
it
bit
sort of
weird.
originates from there, right? So
Mm.
it's yeah.
Well, we
We're
have
just
Warhammer
colonists, man.
World.
Like
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah. I don't know.
colonials. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, always doing it right.
Well, yeah. Um.
Yeah,
Oh, I was going to ask something else about that. So it's another Warhammer World, well, not Warhammer World, Warhammer Run tournament, right? Like you're not running it.
yeah. No,
The company
no.
is. Okay.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah, yeah.
Are they running the Annihilation Pack, or are they running the core mission book? Do you know?
For the national ones, it's just the standard. Yeah, like what you guys use, exactly the same, but
The
100 points.
Annihilation Pack.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, with these, sometimes they have like a casual. They call it a casual gaming, and they'll either use missions from the mixed with other things,
Okay.
which I'm a bit meh on. I quite like the competitive stuff better.
Sure.
Because as I said, like that stall out we had with the Tyranid player, like that could have been resolved with better secondaries and better, better just primary mission objectives. Like I think,
Yeah.
if you're holding points as well as trying to kill each other, we could have differentiated who actually won, which was frustrating to both of us. Because
Sure. Yeah.
obviously, it's friendly competition, but like you still want to do your best and not be like, oh, we just stalled each other out. That's not a good way to sort of win a tournament. Like it's sort of like,
Yeah.
but it's all good. We'll rematch and it'll be awesome. Like I'll get him in. We'll play some games. So
Awesome.
privately would be good. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
kick my ass then.
that's almost a little bit of a shame that because obviously the Annihilation Pack is 100% GW,
Yeah,
like published by
yeah, yeah,
them,
yeah,
told this is what you should
yep,
use in tournaments. So it just seems a touch odd that Games
yeah,
Workshop themselves are not using the Annihilation Pack.
yeah.
I do understand why,
Thankfully,
but yeah,
thankfully for the nationals thing they did. I
yeah,
guess they're trying to, how Games Workshop are always going for that sort of inclusive,
they're very
bring in new
fluffy.
players
Yeah,
thing. I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
they're very fluffy. Yeah, that's a better word for it. So yeah, I think that's probably where we're going with these sort of the competitive tournaments. We're having these smaller ones that they're holding, but they're not using that pack, obviously. So
Sure.
it's not like for competitive players like myself. I'm like, I need more. I want to have more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Proper games. You know what I mean? So I think eventually Australia's going to go this way, and we'll get a bit more interest in that kind of stuff. And some of us could probably get together and do those kind of things. But
Awesome.
as not to replace the Games Workshop stuff, which is great. We want to keep going to that because who does games and Games Workshop is good.
Yeah.
But probably running some more competitive sort of stuff as well, which would be definitely
Awesome. In that case, well, did you have anything else that you wanted to say? He says, knowing that you do.
Yeah, knowing that I do know. Yeah. Just as a sort of a fun thing, a friend and I, we sort of got together and we sort of just started our own little channel. It wasn't meant to be anything serious, but we've had it on the back burner for so long. And then you and I have been talking. He was like, we should put that up if you're going to have the interview. Just put it online. I said, just put that stuff online. So if you're interested in that, it's not Australia specific. It just goes through some of our games, which are fairly casual format at the moment. And look, we're improving our visuals and stuff as we go because we're sort of learning on as we do them. It's called just War HQ. You look it up on YouTube. And also warhq.com if you want to look at the site. It's pretty minimum at the moment. It's 7 videos, but also do some factional analysis and stuff like that. So if anyone wants to have a look I've got demons up at the moment, so it sort of goes through breakdown of demons. I've got orcs. I will have a Tau one up later. I didn't put it on because I knew you and I were talking about Tau today, so
yeah.
I sort of held back up on that one. But look, it's like literally 2 days old, so I don't think anyone even knows about it. But actually, upon saying that, the guy that I played at the last tournament, I was talking to, we stalled with the Tyranids, he's just contacted me and said, I saw you got a channel. So it may actually, what we're hoping to do is just, like you guys do over there, is just generate a bit of content in your own country so we can get some more players. That's all I really want to do, get some more players, a bit more competitive scene going in Australia. And I guess that's what we're sort of aiming to do with that. And maybe we're not really interested in sort of those sort of breakdowns, like, you do some cool stuff about, unboxing and this. We're just more sort of into battle reps and, into getting some guests into to play against and stuff like that competitively, and and a few faction breakdowns and ideas of strategy, kind of where I'm sort of interested in with that sort of stuff. But
So
a lot
the
of it's
more
been done, but
tactical side of it, kind of.
yeah. But more content's good. I always think, you know what I mean? Like content's content,
Always,
and
always.
I'm always starved for it because I work for myself, so I'm always just
Yeah,
listening to stuff all day in the background. So it's
yeah.
I like to your stuff and other creators, and just sort of like listen to it in the background as I'm working away. So
We are
I think more
slowly getting
content's
more and more content
yeah.
creators for Kill Team.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
seeing
it's a
them.
good thing because we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
all sort of support each other. And not saying
definitely.
that I'm even register as a content creator at the moment, but I think eventually, hopefully, we can get something up. If it works, it works. Australia is a weird place, as I said. It's very stretched. Like our
Yeah,
population is small and stretched over a very large area, so it's quite hard to get people together. So
yeah,
yeah, that's really the aim of that, man. Yeah, that's all
yeah.
we do it.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
There you go. Got the plug in.
you
Excellent.
get the plug. Yeah,
War
thanks.
HQ. I had a quick look at it after you sent me the link. You're doing the top-down battle report style.
Yeah,
Looked
yeah.
crisp and clean. Good stuff.
Yeah, some of them are the visuals are better on some than others because
Okay.
by day two of the filming on that one, we'd actually worked out how to actually use the equipment better. We were
Oh,
using it was a programming issue with like
yeah.
PC and Mac. It just did our head in the first day, but
These
we
things
sorted it
happen.
out. But
Yeah, I'm aware.
yeah,
Yeah.
baby
Um,
steps.
yeah.
You're a
Is there
veteran of it,
kind
so
of anything else you wanted to say, either about Kill Team or about Australia or any other things?
Well,
I don't know.
besides the fact that you're afraid of it and it's going to kill you if you come over here.
I'm pretty scared of
We're
it.
going to
Yeah.
get you over here, bro. Like it's not that bad. It's not that
Ah.
bad.
Okay, but statistically, how likely is it that there will be a huntsman spider in the room that I am sleeping in?
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
there you
can't
go.
guarantee it's not going to be 100.
Right. If you even
You're
have to
right.
think about it, it's too much. The answer is
Not to
too
mention
much.
the snakes and the crocodiles outside, right? Like, yeah. Plus all the other things that
I
kill you.
would
But
rather
yeah,
one of them than a spider.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
right here.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be
yeah.
happy about a giant snake, but I'd be more happy than a huntsman or an actually dangerous spider. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's cool, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, like like as I said, like yeah, we're just trying to kickstart the Australian scene, and like I really just on behalf of some of the people that play and probably listen to this from Australia. Thanks for taking the time to interview me too, because we listen to a lot of stuff, and a lot of the content's always America and stuff, which is great. Like it's awesome content, and we listen to it. It's I figure something like this might be good. Connect that. We're all part of the same sort of commonwealth of people, so it'd be good to yeah expand the Kill Team community a little. I thought,
Definitely.
and yeah, thanks for giving us the platform. Appreciate it.
No, it's great. As I say, I'm not a jealous content creator. Um,
Oh, I don't know
you
why we
know,
would in a hobby. Like, I've got
people,
no
yeah,
idea why anyone would be.
people will
Yeah, it's
find
like,
other people eventually.
yeah.
Um, and I think very few consumers kind of see one like then my words are failing me. Just because they see a new thing doesn't mean they will stop viewing the old thing.
No.
Because there are still so few actual Kill
Mm,
Team content creators. There's enough space for everyone
yeah,
at the moment.
that's right. Yeah.
Soon,
Soon, you reckon we'll have to play it out?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll stop promoting other people. But no,
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. No,
until then,
it's not the biggest scene in the world, so it's
no,
like
no,
it's
exactly.
all
Awesome.
beautiful.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I hope that people found your kind of Tau beginner's guide useful. Um,
Yeah. Had a few stories thrown in there. Sorry about that.
yeah,
I just that's how.
it's got to be
So
done. It's got to be done.
it's personable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, I think it's great, and I don't know why. I have no logic for it, but I think it's great that for some reason GW is holding official like Australian Grand Nationals
Yeah.
or whatever they're called over there,
Hopefully,
which
it's
is
a
really good.
communicable disease that the other ones catch, because yeah,
Honestly, yeah, I would really like it if GW held, a public annual in,
yeah.
one in each
Well,
continent, whatever.
look,
Um,
exactly. I mean, look at all the other games. I mean, X-wing,
yeah,
all these other, flight. They all run professional tournaments.
they
You
do.
know what I mean? I mean, if you're
Endorsed
listening,
by the company. That's what I
yeah,
want. As opposed
yeah,
to there might be a GW employee kind of hanging around by
yeah.
the toilets looking at
And
your dodgy.
I, I, I guess that's kind of cool here, and it might be unique here. Is have a national championship. It actually sorts out a ranking system for us too. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
which is something that overseas, I know you use apps and things to work that stuff out, but I mean, over here, at least it's like, well, this is the main championship. If you come to that and you win, then you're the Australian champion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which you don't really have overseas, which is probably the only good thing I can think about our scene as a,
I
as a bonus.
suppose,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Always good to hear about Tao because, obviously, if you can't tell, I have a bit of a thing for Tao.
Yeah.
Even though I try not to show it.
That's it.
But yeah, really cool. And
definitely not OP.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. They're definitely low tier, and if you're a new player, get into them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thanks, and I hope that presumably, as you're going to more tournaments yourself, there will be content, hopefully on your channel.
Look, that's what we're aiming to do. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll just see how it goes, man. Yeah, start baby steps, and it's just a bit of more fun at the moment, which it has to be anyway. Being serious, so
I used to think that.
Yeah.
Now I'm jaded.
You're just jaded by the world.
Yeah.
So I understand. I don't have any expectations.
No.
So, I've already got a job, so it's good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, did you want to say goodbye to the folks that have made it this far?
Goodbye, folks. Thank you for listening. Peace be with you.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been Glass Half Dead and Luke from Australia. I'm not from Australia. I'm from England. And I'm rambling because it's late and I'm tired and I might have had a cider before I began this interview. So, it's been great. Have a good day, etc. Goodbye.